Hi, I'm Debbie Moraes, and this is Legal Matters, the program that's been designed to address the critical and sometimes contentious issues that are facing consumers and businesses today. It's legal information, practical solutions, and straight talk about a wide variety of topics that will affect your home and work life. For this segment, we'll identify the latest in the ho-ho holiday scams, and of course there are many. Hopefully we'll help you from becoming a victim. There's 5 on the hit list. That'll be our holiday gift to you. IRS fake calls is one of them, not necessarily Christmassy. Online email, charity frauds, credit card frauds, and public Wi-Fi. So whether we talk about shopping or greeting cards or shipping or clickjacking, they're all on the list this year. Also, we'll cover briefly, as we have in the past, social hosting laws a little bit anyway. There's always a new wrinkle. We want to begin by first thanking and welcoming Jackie Grasso and David Bazar from the Bazar Grasso law firm in East Providence, who continue to help us tackle some of these topics. So we always start with, gee, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I think a lot of these things that are happening seem to be certainly in that camp. Today's a special day, folks. It's the busiest UPS and FedEx shopping day of the season, which means primo on the list, first on the list, is the number of people who get scammed by having their purchases stolen, literally just stolen. How can you possibly avoid this?
We want to make sure somebody is at the house to receive the delivery. Or when you order the merchandise, you require a signature. You require a signature when somebody makes the delivery. I always do that. That way, if I'm not home, they'll leave a note, and I'll contact them, and they'll either bring it back or I'll pick it up.
Yeah, and in today's world, many times if you get the tracking number, you can just follow its delivery route online. And so if you know it's going to be delivered to your house on a particular day, you can click in, see that it's arrived at the FedEx station or warehouse or the UPS or whatever, and just make sure when you know it's en route on the truck that you're there. Because some of what happens, as you said, is people follow these trucks around, they leave the gifts out by a door, the truck takes off, the gift takes off right after it. So be there and follow it, track it. Those are some of the things you can do in today's world.
And I guess from what we've been hearing and reading this year, it's so rampant, and that the crooks seem to be selective. They actually pick up the boxes, shake them, and try to determine whether or not it's worth their effort to lift it, and then they do. But on that topic, for those who don't want to go to UPS and FedEx and pick it up, we often hear that UPS or FedEx will send you an email. You pointed out it would be better if you got the tracking number and you went to hunt it down or follow it along. If someone sends you an UPS or FedEx, can you imagine it might not actually be UPS and FedEx, but it might have been a scam?
That's
Get the 800 number and just call to verify.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you ordered something and you're expecting them to deliver it and you get the email, if the email is telling you it's going to be delivered at such and such a time, I guess what's the worst that can happen there? That you waste some time and you're there. But you can, like I said, get the tracking number and follow it online. It's sort of like following Santa's, Christmas sleigh through the universe.
Through its universe. We've talked about phishing before. Care to encapsulate what that is?
Fishing in terms of catching fish in the ocean, or
pH. The
okay.
pH.
Okay.
So what happens with some of these phishing schemes? Someone will try to exploit you by, for example, everyone wants the hottest new toy, and someone will say, we'll have it as a discount. That sounds good. Meanwhile, you might get an email from someone who is a fake or a look-alike, and they're hoping that you will click here so that you get that discount coupon or a promo code or whatever it is, and lo and behold, it's not who you think it is. Sounds too good to be true, and it wasn't true.
Personally, I would go to a store if it's there. If it's not available through the store, try and buy it on one of the reputable websites, Target, Amazon.com. I wouldn't buy it on an eBay because you really don't know what you're getting. But any reputable website where you can buy merchandise.
And whatever website it is, if you go to the website, you're the one who's initiating the transaction. You're the one who's making sure you got to the correct website, as opposed to clicking in response to any email, because they are so good these days at making it look like it's official, making it look like it came from whatever retailer it is or whatever website company that might have be legitimate but didn't send it. So I never respond to an email I receive. I always go directly by taking myself to the correct website.
I will admit myself, I was trigger happy. I was getting ready to travel. I saw a quick email that said from one of the big box stores, "We are just confirming your purchase." And I said, "Oh no, I didn't purchase anything," and I hit the button which clicked to it. I didn't go any deeper into the site, but now I'm certainly aware that I have to check every month's credit card from now until doomsday, I suspect, to see if there's been some fraudulent activity. And surprisingly, I couldn't find at the big box store a tab that specifically said, for fraud or attempted fraud, click here, although we should note for our viewers that often many of the big box stores and even some of the smaller retailers have a special either email or line or website tab where you can click if you do suspect that that's going on. So apart from the fact that most people want coupons, isn't it wonderful, the wonders of technology? This tops the list is one of the latest. Now there are many websites that have downloadable apps.
Okay.
And it will keep you alerted to the latest and greatest. Meanwhile, those two, never mind phishing with the PH, now there's smishing, S-M-I-S-H-I-N-G, where those mobile app sites are actually being mirrored as a fake-a-rookie site at the same time. So now, again, if you thought that a certain app is something that you should be able to use, if it comes in email, same thing is true. You can't click on it, or you should make sure you go fishing for, you should go searching for it yourself to make sure that it works.
Right. You don't want to ever, I don't think, respond or accept something through email that's sent to you. You want to initiate the search. So if there's an app that you've heard of, if you get an email about an app that seems really good, don't click and respond. Go search it, find it, get it yourself, and then download it.
Well, the other thing, too, is just go to iTunes and look at the comments, the customer comments about the app, because there'll be plenty of them, and it'll tell you if it's worth downloading. So read those. And the minute you hear one negative comment, then that's your red flag not to download it.
Right. And that way you're the one searching it, rather than responding to something that might even have good reviews but might not have come from that developer.
Also, if you want a coupon, go right to the merchant. Just go directly to the merchant. They always have coupons available. Just right to their website, do a Google search, Payless Shoe Store coupon promotion, and they'll come up.
I know you, for your living, routinely read all of the fine print. You specialize in it. Most of us don't. Most of us as consumers are in a hurry. So even if we are downloading an app, a website, and about ready to buy something, we hear this year that, unlike ever before, there are things in the fine print that could be costing us a lot of money. So, for example, many are using their mobile phones to search and to shop. Apparently, there are things in the fine print, however many 27 pages into that app that no one ever reads. They hit agree quickly. They could, in addition to having a good site, they might also be getting or allowing text messages that are premium rate texting services, so that that app that's supposed to be serving their purpose is actually charging them lots of money. Have you heard of this year?
No, I haven't heard of that.
No, but here's what my comment would be is, how many consumers do you think ever click into read the agreement before clicking agree? And if you click, some of them make you click into it before you can say agree, but even if you click into it, how many read it? And so,
do you? Can you confess?
As an attorney, and I had a lawsuit, yes, I'd read every word. On a personal level, as a consumer, I don't think I click into it all the time.
So isn't it interesting?
You didn't ask me if I read
That's
it.
good. I know. I did hear that. But of course, when these sites are supposed to be helping people, and this year while we're reviewing the latest in the ho-ho-ho holiday scams, apparently this is a new one because someone has found a new way to bilk the consumer if he's caught unawares.
Okay.
And apparently everyone's looking for a good deal, and if they don't get it from their typically named stores, there may be emails coming to an email box near you that is a fly-by-night web merchant. Just set up an online, not a bricks-and-mortar store. How do you know if
Again,
it's legitimate? You
red
just
flag.
don't go there.
I just wouldn't go there.
You
Red
can,
flag.
as Jackie said, you can research on the
Yeah.
internet.
Craigslist is a popular area where people just put scams on there.
And Better Business Bureau, all those kind of things.
Or
But
you
they're
just do
new.
Google and see
Exactly.
if there's a comment out there on the web.
It's just that
This
it
is
may
a
not
scam.
come up that quickly because that might be such a new thing. But again, the email to you to buy something, don't respond, go and find it yourself.
So this happened to my brother. He went online and he bought what he thought were name brand golf clubs. And when he got them, he realized they weren't name brand. And he tried to contact the merchant, and guess where the merchant was? Nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
It happens to the best of us.
right.
Yeah.
So help us on the other side. Considering there are so many who do click and then order and have it shipped and have it received, is there any recourse if someone these days uses a credit card versus a debit card? Do you have any more leeway? If it was your brother and he used a credit card, could he stop the payment on the card and
He could
not?
Well,
or maybe
in
they've already
terms of-
taken the money.
Yeah, but you can dispute it.
Yeah, and
So
they
you
can
contact
reverse
the
it.
merchant, and then they can reverse it. If it's a fraudulent charge, you're not responsible for any of the purchases. At one time, it was $50, but I don't even think they do that anymore.
So you should, you can even online yourself monitor your credit card and see what's going on with that. And if there's a charge that either you didn't make or there's an issue on, as Jackie's brother would have had, you can contact your credit card directly and tell them. Credit card companies are pretty good, not great, but pretty good, at calling or contacting you if they suspect that there's some fraudulent activity. My wife tried to buy something recently, and the merchant called her up and said the charge wouldn't go through. And so she said, "Did you put it through correctly? Read the number back to me." They read the number back. It was the wrong number. She gave them the right number. It wouldn't go through again. So we went online to check, and what the merchant was doing, I don't think intentionally, although you never know, was charging $160,000 for a $1,600 item. So obviously it didn't go through, and it did red flag the credit card company, and they sent an email saying, "Is this fraudulent activity?"
One thing I do is I try to avoid using my debit card. I like to use my credit card because the debit card is linked to your checking account. At least with the credit card, they can't get into your bank account and start withdrawing money.
So if there were, whether in your brother's case or others that have the fly-by-night merchant online, if you've used the credit card and you were bilked, victimized, will the credit card company at times say, "We understand it wasn't really a bona fide merchant, we'll deduct that $200, $600 golf club," or whatever?
They'll usually go to bat for you, and what they will do is, when it's disputed, they'll contact the merchant. They may reverse the charge back out of the merchant's account and restore the credit to you, or if it's really a valid dispute, they'll go back and forth. But they will look into it.
So with the increased number of debit cards that are hit, credit cards that might be hit, apparently the credit card companies are trying to do something that they call a one-time use credit card, a controlled payment number or a virtual account number that lets you shop safe, I guess they call that. I'm not very familiar with it, but it might be something that we need to check out, where it's used only once and used only for online purposes, and it lets you keep apart from your usual account what might be quite a bit of unethical activity or something. Have you heard much about that? Does it seem like it's a reasonable thing that we should
It sounds
want?
reasonable. I haven't heard of it, but it puts me in mind of gift cards. And you can get an American Express gift card, for example, or a credit card, gift card, prepaid, so to speak. And so I suppose what that will do is protect you to the extent that nobody can then charge further to it. It doesn't protect you in Jackie's brother's type of situation where you were already fraudulently led down the rabbit hole and bought something that wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, there's a problem with those gift cards, because on the back of the gift cards, you can usually see the serial number, and that serial number is what scammers are using to activate the card and use the card. So now if you're going to buy a gift card at a store, make sure you can't see any of the back of
Right.
it, okay? So that's
Right.
what's happening.
But I was
And I
think-
just bought 2 the other day, and the American Express ones, I think are in a sealed envelope, so those were okay, but,
And you bought it online?
no, I bought it at a local supermarket.
Okay.
But those that had the serial number on the bottom, like we wanted one for a department store, we didn't get it because it had that serial number, it was exposed.
Right, yeah, and I was speaking more of getting them through points or
Oh,
something like
yeah,
that.
that's right.
So apparently, the recommendation this year is that if you were going to buy an e-card that's a gift card, buy it as an e-card because that would lessen the chance of someone having had a card reader that scammed or scanned and then scammed you. Apparently, even the local coffee shops that might have their cards positioned in the front rack, they say don't use that because someone might have come in, scanned that card, and just waiting by calling a telephone number to see if it's been activated,
Yeah,
and they
that's
can lift
exactly
that
what I was
number.
talking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
And now they're saying if you instead go to, I don't know if it were the
website.
American Express or others,
Yep.
and get a gift card, then no one could have at least scammed you that particular way.
Right,
What they should do is keep the cards behind the counter at the local
Yes.
coffee store.
So would you say that even if you go to a department store, you should ask for a card not at the counter but behind the counter?
Correct, correct.
In all cases?
Yeah. But then you have to worry about employees.
And so it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a way to call up yourself early using that telephone number to find out whether or not it's already been lifted? Would that be a smart idea?
I don't think they can use it until it's activated, so you wouldn't know if somebody else
That's
has
right.
already
That's
taken
right.
the numbers.
Buyer beware. Okay, it's the season of giving and spirit of giving, and charities too have been asking for money at year end, but so have been scammers all the more wise about how to ask you for the latest addition to their pocketbook so that you can help the California wildfires. What do you do when someone calls and says, please, we need it by tomorrow, or something like that? What do we do?
Well, very simple. If you don't trust it, then say no, unless it's a reputable company. Get the name, get the number. If they're purporting to be a cancer society, and we know that the name of the society is American Cancer Society, contact them to see if they have some fundraiser in the area. But I will not give a charitable donation over the phone.
Yeah, and
That's
if
it.
someone calls me, I tell them to call Jackie.
Yeah.
I say we give it at the office.
I know you had pointed this out at for another topic, that you already have your list of certain charities, and then you have the outbound call or the outbound note or the outbound check
Right.
that you've initiated rather than having someone call to solicit you.
Right.
Especially with the pressure of you must donate now or something terrible is going
And
to
they'll
happen.
call from colleges. You don't know that they're calling from colleges.
And if my college calls, I know it's not my college because I just give. They don't have to call me for it. I do my own arrangements, and that's what I was talking about. I know who I'm going to give to. I like to be charitable, but I want to make sure it goes to the people and folks I know need it and want to get it to. So, most people are good-hearted. They want to give to as many things as they can, and
Certainly.
they hear these things. So if someone calls and I think there might be something to it, I say, give me the information. I won't give them my information. I want their information. Then I'll go and research it myself.
Yeah, a famous one, I've told this before, is someone contacted me at my home purporting to be from the Police Chiefs Association of Bristol. I said, oh, that's nice. Can you tell me who the chief of police is?
Right. Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's a giveaway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I guess in the same spirit of people wanting to spend money and buy gifts and give to charities, many of them need to make money. So also at this time of year, especially, there are many email and even newspaper solicitations. Call us now. You too can become an agent for something. You can make money in your spare time at home. All you have to do is call. Give us your telephone number, your driver's license, and some other pertinent
Maybe your
information.
social security number and your credit cards. And
To
we'll
which
take
you
it.
say,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
flatly don't.
Right. Never give any of your personal information out on the phone, through a website, through an email. You don't have to do that. You don't do it.
And what about dating sites? People are looking for love in all the wrong places at times, but there are some legitimate websites that try to match people up.
I don't think they match them up by the driver's license.
No.
Or the Social Security.
Security
But they
number.
do require that you put a date of birth.
Okay, so other than that, just be careful of it.
Do they require date of birth or an age?
I have no idea. I've never been on
You
one.
haven't used those?
No.
Okay.
And should any of
I'm not
these,
sure.
and should any of these new opportunities for you to acquire money ever be asking you to front some money
That's
for
a
purchase?
scam. If you have to pay to make money, then that's a problem.
Right, always.
Yeah.
Even when they say, let us have your bank account and routing number so we can route your winnings into your account,
Yeah.
you don't want to do it.
Okay. And
Tell them you'll take a check.
we'll take a check. And also, on the government side of life, also considered to be something you need to be wary of, Medicare and IRS. IRS sends you an email and says you need to click here and confirm some information. Or Medicare says, or some other government office, we need to tell you that your new card is in the mail. Just click here and you can just verify your bank account information, because, of course, we need to make sure that the money is routed to the right place. To
Well,
which
the
you
IRS
say,
does not email people.
No, always by
Nor
mail.
does the Office of Medicare or Medicaid. I'm not going to email you.
and so
Right.
when you get that, do you ignore it, or do you just do you call Medicare or the IRS or something, or
You call
just
to
leave it?
verify if they were sending out emails.
Right.
Um,
And by the way, on that check
But
thing,
they're
where you say, just send me the check for my winning,
Yeah.
be careful with that, too, because if you deposit the check in your account, they can then follow the routing numbers and take money back out.
Good to
So-
know. Good to know. So I think we've touched on quite a few of these. We, every year, talk about social hosting laws. I think most people are pretty savvy right now. They know that if you are hosting a party, let's not feed the minors. Suppose mom and dad are hosting a party, but the children are at home and they have some friends. What happens, for example, if one of the friends snitches a bottle or snitches some booze, drives, ends up in an accident, and the mother or the father of that child who's in an accident now wants to sue you? Are you liable for the snitched bottle of booze?
You can be. It's a negligence standard. If you serve, the social hosting laws will kick in if you're serving a minor. If you're not serving the minor and the minor either brought alcohol on his own or stole it from you or something, depends on what you did to protect yourself and to monitor what activities the children were doing in your property. There's a lot of case law in Rhode Island on what you're responsible and what you're not responsible for. And one of the things that's clear on a negligence standard is if you serve a child and that child then injures somebody else and it was foreseeable as a consequence of them having alcohol, and if you negligently allow a child, in other words, you have the bottles out in the open and you're not monitoring who's taking what, you can be liable. As far as serving an adult, it's a whole different standard.
So you really not only have to be, you're not just liable if you weren't serving them. I'm not serving the cocktail to that friend's child's friend, but if they snitch it, I'm still having to be watchful of that to make sure that nothing is leaving that shouldn't be leaving.
I say you can be.
You can be.
You can be.
Negligent supervision.
Right,
Negligent
exactly.
monitoring. Yeah.
Yeah. If you did everything you're supposed to do that any reasonable person would do, such as I've hired a professional bartender, and that bartender has complete control over all the alcohol, and the minor still gets some, maybe you're not liable, because what more could you have done? But if
Okay.
a lawyer can take a look at a case and say, well, a reasonable person would have done this, this, or this, and you didn't do any of those things, then there could be liability.
Would you say that if you are hosting parties and you hire a bartender and there are only adults there, if there is a bartender there, does that get you one generation removed from potential liability if Uncle Ernie has
Absolutely
one pop
not.
too many?
Well, again, here's the thing, though. If it's a party at your house, under Rhode Island law, there's no, unless they've amended a statute, there's been no case law that I've seen that says you're liable for the actions of an adult. And most of the case law up to this point in time has been that that adult is responsible for his own actions and behavior. So if you have a professional bartender who's supposed to be watching these things and someone gets drunk, the first step is, even without the bartender, there might not be a social host case against you if you're not a restaurant or a bar. And if you've hired somebody who's supposedly taken these tips courses and all these other things, there may be liability on that person because now that person has some professional responsibility.
Okay. And how about if you are just hosting, you don't have a bartender, mostly family, a few friends, and you do have somebody who is, you haven't been counting how many drinks they've had, too many people for you to do that, but you think that you've shut off the bar, say an hour and a half, they've all had coffee and pastry, an hour and a half before anybody departed, and someone has an accident, you still can be liable? Suppose, is that enough time?
Well, in Massachusetts, I think there might be some liability,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that Rhode Island has gone to that level where you hold a social host responsible for serving an adult.
Okay. And how would you know, on another level, how would you know, for example, the person maybe was taking some medication, didn't have 3 squares before they started drinking? Could you ever be culpable for that? How would they could say, I had an accident and I had it at your place, so therefore I think that if you hadn't prevented it, if you hadn't taken my keys, I have no culpability?
If Rhode Island had a social host law that said the social host is responsible for adults and adult behavior,
All behaviors.
then that might take even that case out of it, because the adult who's being served should be responsible for knowing that one drink could cause a problem. for
Now,
that
if somebody
person.
got injured in your own home, that may be a different story.
Right.
If somebody's just sitting there and all of a sudden a light falls on his or her head, then you have an issue of negligence.
And suppose it isn't negligence, but they fall and hurt themselves. Maybe they tripped on the stairs, maybe they didn't see it, or maybe they just had something too much to drink. And are you really, where are the laws?
Could be, it's a defense, you have contributory negligence
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
Negligence in Rhode Island is pure comparative negligence. So if you did something negligent that caused them to get hurt, but they wouldn't have gotten hurt but for the fact that they themselves had too much to drink, I think that's still a defense to your negligence if they caused the accident and the injury.
So I think you're framing this in something that sounds somewhat reasonable, at least for Rhode Island. I mean, I think we don't want to let people entirely off the hook so that they're not watching what their company is doing, but neither can they possibly say, before I serve you this glass of wine or champagne, how much have you had to eat? Are you taking medication? Is there any reason that no one's going to do that?
Right.
So at least you're making it reasonable that as long as they keep an eye on what's going on.
Right. Act reasonably is always the key
Yeah.
to those situations.
And if someone is starting to look a little tipsy, does it make sense that you could say, may I have your keys?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And call a cab.
Oh, yeah, call a cab.
Or have a friend take
Have
them
a
home?
friend take them home.
Or get the Uber application.
Oh, Uber, that's correct.
That starts another
Oh, we'll talk about that another day.
That does start another war. Other issues about Christmas-type scams. Someone is selling Christmas trees. They do it all the time out at the street corner. They say it's good, but of course it had been perhaps cut down 7 months before, went from Canada by way of Siberia and then came back. You take it to your house and it's suddenly fallen apart. Do you have any recourse to go back to that guy if he still hasn't closed up shop and say, I want a refund?
Gee, that sounds like the State House Christmas tree a few years ago.
And what did they do?
It died. I don't know what
get a
they
tree?
did. We'd have to ask.
Do
the
you have
powers that be.
recourse?
Well, you do have recourse if the person is still selling on the side of the road. Either give me a new tree if you want another tree, or give me my money back.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's like any other purchase. If it's not what they represented it to be, it's not fit for the purpose it was designed for, replace it.
Okay, and one other quick. Considering so many little decorations people purchase to hang on their windows, their walls, their tree or whatever, they're tiny, they have children, they have dogs, someone eats it, swallows it, chews it, whatever, can the store, big box or small, be held liable?
Depends.
It's very possible. We
It
could
is
do a
possible.
whole show next time.
Consumer product safety.
Yeah.
We have
Consumer
talked
product
about
liability.
we have talked about some of these things, but of course these, in the spirit of the holiday, that's what's been happening.
Right.
Other topics, let me just think, is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think that we've done all of the scams and, seasonal travel scams.
I did hear something about that today.
Okay.
If you're staying at a hotel room, the pizza scam, if they put a pizza menu under your door, it may not be a pizza company. So you're going to call them up, order the pizza, and you don't get the pizza, but they get your Social Security, they get your credit card. Same thing, if you get a call from the front desk that says, we lost your credit card number, hang up and call the front desk and ask.
Good to know.
Yeah.
The more the merry. We hope that we've helped you stay away from some of the holiday scams. We wish you and your families a happy holiday. Stay tuned to the discussion of legal matters, and we'll see you next time.